But the business environment is ever changing. The market has become so responsive and so dynamic. People are so in touch with the information that is happening in and around the market. But as a business leader, sometimes it's hard to keep up with that information. You're either busy with meetings, meeting clients, making payments, or writing quotations, responding to emails. And sometimes some of the critical information pertaining to your industry may skip you whilst you're busy. And by the time you get back into trading, you're already lost. So yeah, this is why we created this podcast. My name is Steve Tadzoka, or you can call me Captain Steve, and I'm joined by Jerry Moyas with the Chartered Vendor. Jerry, welcome to the podcast.
How are you, Steve?
I'm good. Well, I'm good for the sake of being good, but I'm not really good.
Why are you not good?
Well, so there's something that is on my mind always. You know, when you get that notification, salary is kicked in, you begin to ask around, what is the rate? What is the rate? We want to run away from our local currency and maybe get a currency that can preserve value over time. Now I'm thinking, it's as an employee, you're running around with some mind to store your value. What about businesses? How are businesses pricing their goods and services ahead of the ever-changing rates?
Yeah, it's really tough out there. I think I was also fortunate to actually meet one of the big giants in business, the management, the sales managers, the procurement guys. I think that big company, they supply drinks, water, but they've actually said, I think we're now bypassing the supermarkets, your Pick and Pay, your OK. So they're not bypassing them and sell directly through vendors. Yeah, so they want to sell through us, the vendors, because they're saying, no, I think if vendors can sell to the consumer directly, we can get the hardcore US and we get our money there and there. Unlike you get it into Pick and Pay, it's 30 days.
Yeah.
30 days account, then your money is actually hit by inflation. So if a big giant is not choosing to do that, it means our environment is not stable. Yes, there are companies which are so fortunate to trade probably in US dollar terms, but I'm saying government doesn't pay in US dollar in most of the contracts.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's probably going to get this money after 90 days. So it caused distortions in terms of the pricing, the way they are going to court. It's a dilemma for everyone. It's no longer safe to actually do business in our local currency.
It's very interesting. So, you know, I'm trying to think of a scenario where someone is a small business.
Yeah.
Probably they need to agriculture. Let's talk about agriculture. There's been a huge shortage of vegetables in the UK and Europe.
Exactly.
And we're seeing a lot of our local farmers exporting stuff to Europe. You know, the terms of exporting to Europe have sort of like reduced the terms so that they attract market there. But then for local markets, you have the small batch of tomatoes and probably they don't qualify for the European export market. Putting into perspective what you've just said, that they've got a 30-day payout period. How do you survive as a small-scale farmer in that regard? 30 days is a lot of time.
With a lot.
And the rates are changing every week. Day in, day out, the rates are changing every day.
The rates are changing because even like we are talking about a small-scale farmer, I think it's something which you are supposed to touch on, even you was about explaining to us the process of actually registering with organizations like Centrade. Because most of our entrepreneurs out there or the vendors out there, they're not exposed to the exposure. They don't even know how they can export their vegetables probably into UK, like what you're saying. This information probably they're not privy to that. That's why I'm bringing this show. But you know, it's very difficult to plan, to pay your employees. It's an environment. If you can survive in this country, I tell you, you're able to survive anywhere in this world. Because it's the only country where we are using several currencies, and sometimes we don't even know which currency which is actually official, because even the government itself find out that probably in other transactions they want RTGs, in other transactions they want US. I think that also reminds me when I was in Malawi, I met this other company. That company is old, I think more than 30 years. They say actually we've never seen something like this. I'll give you an example. You know, Zimbabwe requires USD and RTGs. But do you know that NASA only requires RTGs. So when you are doing your deductions on your payroll, how are you going to do it? Let's say you're paying your employee in USD terms. How are you going to deduct the NASA? Because they're going to deduct it in US dollars. And when you're converting it, are you going to convert it to official rate? We're going to convert it to black market rate. It's confusing. So it's rather confusing for the investor. It's also confusing for the entrepreneur out there. But actually, it still remains a land of opportunity. When there's a lot of confusion, it means there are also opportunity for these entrepreneurs. And they need to start planning. That's why selling becomes so vital. Negotiating contracts to have a contract whereby you're actually being prepaid or you're being paid in advance. It's actually crucial at this time. Because it's only a dilemma for only those using Zimbabwe dollars. But it's also a dilemma for people who are using US dollars. Because imagine a company projected that probably they're going to get US dollars. Probably they're actually buying from the black market. Then they're thinking that the rate is still at 1.2, but the rate has jumped on the unofficial market at 1.450. It means also it's going to be difficult for them to pay. I'll give you an example. Like the Eat and Lick, your Eat and Lick, your fast foods, KFC, the dilemma they have, the fast foods industry. They are buying potatoes in USD. They are buying cooking oil etc. in USD. But you just imagine, they are now selling in RTGs, and probably they were planning to pay after 30 days. Then after 30 days, boom, the rate is now at 1.450. They need to go back into the black market to buy those US dollars. Telling you already it's a loss to them. And it's going to be a loss to them only. I'm so fortunate by being a consultant. I meet a lot of business people, and I met a farmer who was crying and saying probably this big giant with fast foods, they're earning a lot of money, but what is not also understanding is this big fast foods are also in quagmire. They're also in a lot of problems, national problems, because the liquidity is actually a crisis in this kind of scenario. It's a scenario whereby you benefit a lot, but sometimes you can actually also plunge into a loss. So it's a dilemma, it's a 50-50 situation, but if you hit your cards right, sometimes you can actually earn more. But also if you're also to underestimate the economy, because I think we experienced a kind of a stability from August up to January. I think there's kind of a stability, but right now it seems things are not getting out of hand and things are not shooting, which we don't want to blame on anyone, but I think it affects the business person. End of the day, it affects the entrepreneurs. I don't know what you have to say in terms of probably the Zim trade issue. And
with regards to the Zim trade issue, I think it's safe that I divorce that information. Maybe on the next episode. But for now, what I can say is since the Europe is experiencing shortages and they look for better markets to look for the greens to resource their shops, and they tend to Africa, and Zimbabwe particularly produce one of the best papers. You've got your ginger, you've got your lettuce that comes from here.
Is this a whole of Europe or it's Britain because of
they exited? So those are some of the issues that are culminating from the exit.
Is it Russia also?
Russia also, because of the conflict with Ukraine. But well, in that regard, we'll give information to the people not on the second episode. I would like also to pass a comment on one of our local wholesale dealers by Masasa. There's Ellington. There's so much confusion, like you say. There are products that are sold in the same shop. There are products that are sold in USD exclusively, and then those that are sold in the local currency. So I asked them, why are you pricing in different currencies? And then they told us some of it's coming from the suppliers themselves.
Exactly.
The ones who are saying, sell this product in USD. So I thought to myself and wondered how that is happening. And then there's an interesting case that actually took my mind.
Mm.
Mazoe.
Exactly.
They've got the orange crush, and then they've got the other flavors, the blackberries.
The blackberries.
Those ones are so demanded. But Mazoe is so nasty. So things when I'm importing oranges, they've got a farm somewhere when they have those oranges.
That is the flake product of Zimbabwe. I think shout out to Shrips, Orange Crush, and you look at Orange Crush, you look at Jose Vita. I think those products are being exported Zimbabwe, and they are on demand on the international market. Persevere Vita and Orange Crush. Orange Crush is dominant, my brother.
Okay.
And I think it's one of the best drink to ever. It's one of the best products to come out of Zimbabwe. It's our flake product.
Yeah.
So, like what we are saying now, the confusion is not only in supermarkets. Even the government. Also, the government.
Yeah, they do that.
Where prices which are being done, like when you want a passport, is GST.
GSD.
But when you want probably when you want a birth certificate, it's not a birth certificate.
Obvious.
That's the same.
If you want to replace a certificate in ID,
Yeah.
it's going to be in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, you're still logged on to our podcast. Very exciting conversation, and we expand it further in the next part of this episode. But let's take a moment to get a break. Welcome back. This is still Steve and Jerry, and we're having an interesting conversation. So if you were not with us before we got to this break, we were talking about the fluctuations that are happening as far as our currency compared to the United States dollar, the British pound, and the Chinese yen, and other currencies that we use in our basket of currencies.
Yeah.
So Jerry, there's a story that actually came to mind. I was talking to one of those guys. When the government releases tenders,
Yeah.
they call people apply for the tenders with their quotations and stuff. And then sometimes some of the quotations that are sent through or the invoices, they are inflated. And usually the media responds faster. It says, oh, this guy is overcharging.
Reminds me
wasting
of
money.
the 9,000.
Computers, yeah.
The famous 9,000.
Yeah, I remember those computers.
Yeah.
They were being compared to cars, those computers. It's something else. So yeah, I had the privilege to speak to one of the people who have been involved in such accusations.
Yeah.
And then they told me, you know what? How the government works is they will pay you after a certain period. And usually it's after you deliver. So what you do is you get an estimate of how long or after how long that they'll pay you. Sometimes it can be months.
Yeah,
You get served with the government and they can pay you up to 6 months.
Just 6 months. But
They'll generally tell you that we don't have the money.
they have the money.
Right. So what those guys do is, if I have to supply, let's use the computer.
The computer.
So if I have to supply the computers, maybe the computers are going for $800.
Exactly.
Right? But what I would look at is,
After 6 months.
I'm going to be paid after 6 months. And then they've told me that they're only paying in local currency.
Exactly.
So what I need to do is anticipate that from this day to after 6 months, what will be the rates looking like?
Exactly.
I will use my own formulas that are not informed by any economic principles. I just know the rate will be higher.
Exactly.
So what I would do is I'll multiply my future rate, maybe I'll estimate to 3,000. And then I multiply 3,000 by 800 and then by the number of computers I need to supply.
Yeah.
And then I turn it in. So what then happens is, when they pay me eventually, or maybe when they give all the information that we've awarded Steve this 10
This 10, yeah.
this is his invoice.
There's $9,000.
Then social media will go next. He's overcharging. Then someone is eating from that deal. You know how people are.
Yeah.
But then they're not considered the fact that I have anticipated all the changes that would happen in our market.
Yeah.
And then I've future priced my product so that when I get paid, I can also be able to recoup the money that I invested in that project. What's your take on that?
Yeah, but because what I also think is probably, I think the problem is when previously government used to say they will charge you you charge them in Zim dollar and they're going to pay a Zim dollar. So if they were going to inflate that 9,000 in Zim dollar, there's not going to be an outcry. Because people will just say, these are Zim dollars, it's about to be hit by inflation. But the moment now the noise is coming was why the government has said, you can also charge us in USD. I think one of my small companies also to try to supply paracetamol. I think it's now a year before we are paid.
Wow.
Okay, just imagine.
1 year.
1 year. So when you're projecting also, you'll be projecting and say probably we're going to get this amount of money. But right now, yes, we've priced it in USD. So whoever is going to look at that invoice currently the assumption is these guys are getting a lot of money. And also people, what they were not also considering is this rate is going to be, it's not that $9,000 US. If you're going to convert that $9,000 on the official rate, and try to go and buy the actual USD, it's going to be less by probably 40 to 50%.
That's it.
So when prices go out there now in USD terms, it seems as if there's a sinister agenda, people are defrauding the government. It is we don't deny that those cases are there, but the price situation, especially in this country, I think is something which needs to be addressed. I don't know what the Minister of Finance is doing, but I think they are fighting very hard for things to normalize, for us to actually to bring sanity and to have proper pricing. Well, there are a lot of distortions in the supermarkets, a lot of distortions in the informal sector, and these distortions, they're actually hitting the entrepreneur very hard. They are hitting even the source people. Sometimes someone was giving accounts on credits, they're now saying, no, we can only offer you on credits here, who's supposed to pay in cash. But also, I'm a supermarket, I want to buy, let's say, of Mazogo Crash. Then all of a sudden, shops is actually saying, no, we can no longer give you on credit. But there's another competitor who is also coming and probably say, I'll offer you 30-day credit. Because the big guys sometimes, because of the issue of expenses and costs, they no longer have that luxury of keeping 30 days whilst it is with the customer. They're now saying, you can give us some cash. And generally it affects business. End of the day, it's going to also affect the unemployment rate, because most of the people end up without jobs. So these big giants, when they're faced with those complicated situations, they end up saying, you know, we remove people, probably get agents to sell our products. You get what I say, Mami?
I get you. And you know, it has made life difficult. I don't want to lie. Because if you look at the big supermarkets, sometimes when you find your favorite product not in their shop, you would think, how come Pick n Pay doesn't?
Exactly.
But really, it's not them not stocking that product, but it's the supply.
The supply is not saying, supply is giving you. Supplier will be saying, no, I want USD.
I think it drives out customers when Pick n Pay has an exclusive shop for USD products. I think it's bad for business. That's why they've never done it. I've never gotten into the shop and the head Pick n Pay saying this product is only sold in USD. They always put the RTGS component. To make sure.
Many big giants are now adopting that. I also know a local, I think that's the biggest local Zimbabwean founded company for shoe polish, Chitaita. When I went there, they're actually saying, no, we can no longer put that product in the Pick n Pay. It's going to stay there for 30 days. And also in Pick n Pay, it depends with how customers are also buying that product. So they're actually resorted to actually go back to the what? To the direct consumer. And sell it probably, it's no longer even packaged. So people are now changing, because Zimbabwe, like I always say, Zimbabwe is not enough more environment to do business. We've got a lot of challenges, but those challenges also, if you work them well, they can transform into opportunities.
That's it.
I'm not saying there are no opportunities. There are a lot of opportunities in Zimbabwe. We know if what our international viewers, we've got a lot of opportunities, but you need to play with the dynamics. You need to be, even in the software industry, you know, me and you and the software industry. Just imagine when you're doing a software for a Zimbabwean company, you need to consider things like multi-currency. You need to consider a lot of things.
A lot of factors that you need to consider.
These factors, when our international giants are doing softwares, they've never come up with multi-currency in America. They've never come up with multi-currency in China. So when they're starting explaining to Chinese that no, there's something which is called multi-currency, and they'll be like, what are you saying? So at one point it took me 2 hours to explain what is really
multi-currency. I remember also we had an experience where someone had bought a point of software from India. It was a long meeting trying to make the Indians understand that no, if you give us a point of sale, it needs to be able to calculate the exchange rates for the other currencies that we use. I know they are English, it's very difficult to say them sometimes. So it was a long meeting. But you know what? I gotta give it up to the vendors. The vendors, they're on the cutting edge of the market. if you want updates or latest news happening in the market, just ask the vendors.
They know.
And there are a lot of entrepreneurs who might know who are leveraging off vendors. Vendors are doing the most for entrepreneurs. Why? I know a company that makes fragrances. They couldn't make it into the big stores to sell their perfumes. So this is what they did. They created a community of distributors. So they sell the perfumes at a discounted price to the distributors. Then the distributors put their markup and then they sell their product. And they're doing quite well. I don't know, what do you think? Do you think big brands can also adopt the same model? That's a distributor.
That's what they're now doing.
Having agents for Senevita.
That's what they're now doing. Look at what the strategy which was used by Pepsi. That when Varun Care Week,
Pepsi.
They created a lot of vendors. I think we now have a lot of vendors in the country. And vendors are now selling that product directly. It means, number one, it's not easy to access. Because sometimes I don't want to get into a supermarket because of queues, a lot of inefficiencies. But I'm not getting my Pepsi along whilst I'm driving. Just call a vendor, I can get my drink, then I'm nowhere. But you look at the competitor now, Coca-Cola is not difficult to access. Pepsi is now on the market better than what? Than Coca-Cola. Because Coca-Cola distribution channel, they're still using the ordinary shops, supermarkets, but this product now is accessible in Bari, it's accessible in Cocoa, wherever you go, you can access Pepsi. So I think also all these giants now, they are also adopting the same strategy. Even when you get into Zambia, Frutical can be accessed anywhere. But this is a giant because it's owned by Trade Kings. And this is a giant, it's compared to our Delta here, but it's being accessed anywhere in Zambia. So accessibility now becomes a competitive advantage for what? So vendors, people have realized that for you to move products, you better give them the vendors. So vendors are the ones who are actually moving the products better, especially in Africa. Because of our dynamics, they're different from Europe. And I think these big giants now, they've come to terms and say, we need vendors, end of the day.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're ever going to get civilization between our city councils and vendors. I don't know. It's something that I hope for. There's something that you hope for. You can always link it down below on the comments. Do come to on the comment section. Let us know of topics that you'd like us to cover. But otherwise, from me to you, it's a goodbye. My name is Steve.
I'm Jerry.
And see you next time.